He's there and the cry comes closer and closer to us. Eventually Baba says, what is it? Go and see. So I leave Baba's side and try to find out, and sure enough I spotted a child who is blind. He's trying to wade his way through people and he's crying out and all that. So I go there and catch hold of his hand and get him towards Baba. I said, here is Baba. Yeah. Here's Baba. And Baba embraced him. He went and clutched Baba's waist, you see. He was a little one. And he's blind, he doesn't see or anything. And he says, Baba, 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 that's all. And it was really very touching. He does not know what it is all about, but he has that feeling, that heart cries out for Baba, and that's all. It's just like us, you see, in our great moments of pain and loss, that we just cry out to God and we don't know where is God and what is it. You follow? That type of pain was there. So it was like that. And then, of course, after a long time, Baba then told that he can go now and all. So Baba then told me later on, this is the first time in this advent that I have been tempted to do. Tempted sorely. I said, tempted? He says, yeah. You saw the cry of the blind and how he felt, and I was sorely tempted to give him sight. But it's good that I did not do it. I won, he said.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, he told me that. Yeah. So, what else?
But being God, he could give him sight and still lead him in the way.
But of what avail is all that? He has to experience the blindness.
But he has to only because of his sanskaras. Being God, he can wipe that out immediately.
Oh yes, yeah. That's what he was saying, that I was tempted to give him the sight, but I won. I won. Means won over the temptation.
I gather that there was crowds of up to 100,000 on some of these days.
Yeah.
You were describing before how the crowd at times would seem almost out of control and would be eddying backwards and forwards and would be pushing and shoving. Yeah. And I remember you were describing how the Mandali would be concerned and Baba would...
There were 74 people around him. Yeah. Because there are no walls or no halls. So altogether, eventually, we went out, I think, with 22 or something, and 74 followed him. Something is there. 75 something. So like that, so naturally we would make a ring without any show or anything. So just remain posted, you said, different, but all alert, because one never knows. And we are in strange area. We don't know our positions, what's happening, what will happen or anything. So we remain posted there. Means 74 or 75 of us. And there will be some few occasions where there was all the shuffling would take place and impatience would be there on the part of the crowd, and Baba would appease them and comfort them that I won't leave this place unless and until each one is satisfied by my love and with my love and this and that. And then they would calm down, and then he would go on and stressing and straining himself to the utmost, physically, and so forth. But there was only one occasion in the whole crowd that actual wrestling took place between Patil and others, you see. And it was all for love, because Patil and Kumar, Patil was, Kumar was, he was known as Commander-in-Chief, and Patil was one of the generals there, and others were there. It was battlefield. Yeah, it is. It was like that. Actually, it was a battlefield. So we had to take our positions and safeguarding and defending and this, and no aggression, just defense. Yeah. So that's how it is. So Patil was there in the forefront there, and keeping the whole thrust of the people who had become impatient, and Baba would be told, and Baba would get up and comfort them and all that. Eventually what happened, the thrust went on, and they wanted to break through the lines. There were, what do you call those, thick ropes, you see, cordoned off area, yeah. But they tried to break off that whole thing. It broke, the cord broke. Yes, because of the pressure, you see. So, but now there is no other way. So, he's shouting hoarse, this Patil. But Patil's language is Marathi. How can he explain to those people in Telugu and but he starts shouting and this and says, why do you do that? And just wait on and all that. But then the rope broke and they started pouring in. So he says, oh, if you want to fight it out, come on, I am ready to fight out. And he started girding up his loins, these dhotis they have, they try to, and he tightened it, and Baba is having a good laugh at all this show there instead of being with the people who are filing past, I said, look what Patil is doing. So we went and caught hold of Patil. He had lost his, what you call, command over his senses, present mind, yeah. He says, well, if you want to fight me, I am a wrestler, I know, I'll fight you, each one of you, and throw you out. That was only once it happened. That he would always say this, that I have come once again in your midst. I am the same ancient one, come in your midst again. And I bring the same message that I had given in the past. My message is, love God, love me. And this is how he would begin. So from amongst the crowd, big gathering was there, very huge crowd was there. So he put up his hand and says, but how to love you? So Baba answers there by saying that, how did you love your wife? Are you a married person? He says, yeah, I looked at her, I saw her and fell in love with her. So he says, well, at that time he didn't ask me how to love her. But he says, I saw her and fell in love with her. So then Baba says, that's right. Just do the same thing with me. See me as I am, really, and then fall in love with me. I can't love you. So because you don't see me as I really am. If you were to see me as I really am, you would fall in love with me. Then he goes out, takes great pains to explain to that man how he should see him as he really is. So he says to them, to the crowd now, to him and to the crowd, he says, the ways of the world are such that in the world you see a woman and you fall in love with a woman. And then when you fall in love with a woman, after seeing the woman, what you do, your mind goes after her. And you begin to think of her. And think, you rave mad. You do this and you do that, and all that you are doing, all that you are preoccupied with, your mind is preoccupied in the thoughts of the woman you have fallen in love with. That is the way of the world. You see the person first, then you fall in love with the person, and then you begin to think of the person. That is the way of the world. But with me, it's just diametrically opposite. What you have to do is, you have to begin with remembering me. So, begin to remember me. Try to think of me. Well, now that you have come here, you have seen this, I am here before you, telling you that I am the same ancient one. You have seen my face now, the coat, the cloak that you have seen. So begin to remember me like that. And those who have not seen me, those who have not the opportunity to see me physically, my cloak, what they should do is have a picture of my cloak, that means my body. Have a postcard, have a little card, have posters, put them in your rooms, bedrooms, dining room, sitting room, sleeping near your bed, in your toilets also you can put them. As reminders to remember me. This will act as a reminder, this occasion where you put a question that will remind you of me. Use that also. You begin with that and you continue to be reminded to remember me. So these little posters and pictures of mine that you will post them, display them on your walls or on your bed or dressing table or toilet or anything that will remind you of me and you remember me. The mind begins to be disciplined by being reminded into remembering me. So you go on thinking about me. Mind doesn't feel satisfied with such reminders after it has gone through many weeks or months or years by being reminded like that. Then mind craves to have something better and much more to be reminded of me. So mind goes to seek something better, and that is, of course, the pictures are there, the photos are there, all that is there, the setup is there. Then it goes in search of the words. What has this man said? Did he say that you have to begin to love me by remembering me? What has he said in that? Let me revise what he has said. So you go in search of the words that have proceeded from me. So then you go out to libraries or you try to find through your friends any words that he has given and all that. So you begin to be reminded of me through my words. So the words remind you of me, my own words. Then the mind goes in search of as many books as possible and buys the books or reads in the library and all that. Mind is saturated with reminders to remember me. In the books, in the words, what he finds is what I have said. But apart from that, it also tries to gather my ways, my likes, my dislikes, my pleasures, my displeasures, and everything that will act as reminders to remember me. So then mind gets saturated with all that and craves for something more, because it is in the nature of the mind. It is nothing wrong, you see, in your very nature. So mind doesn't feel satisfied, it wants something more. And that more is that prompts the mind into going out further to create some reminders which will remind him all the more of me. And what he does, what that mind does, goes out, says, no, I must now go and pay visits to the places where he had been, what he had done. I will try to find out more about it all. So he goes out on pilgrimages to places where I have been, where I have stayed for longer period, where I have worked on the streets with the must, with the mad, with the poor, here, there, in this country, that country, and so forth. He goes on the round of pilgrimages. The mind that is serious now, trying to remember me. While he is on his pilgrimages, there he feels happy, the mind gets delighted, feels assured about me, reminds about me, these places remind the man about me. But then the mind again wants to crave for something better, and that thing that he at that time craves for is that must go and contact the people who lived with him, who were with him. Let us see what they have to say now. I've gone through all the words, I've gone through what he says, I've visited the places, but then at these places there must be some people living who had lived with him. So these people who lived with him, who had wandered with him, who had seen him, who had come across him, they must be telling some stories. Let us hear what they have to say. So these human beings then become the constant reminders to remember me. So the mind goes on trying to gather all the things, you see, through these reminders of human beings who led life with me, or who came across me, or who worked with me, or whatever it be. And eventually, when mind has taken a complete round, right from the pictures to human form, as reminders to remember me, mind has no other recourse except to return to its place. And it comes back and continues. In the meantime, Baba says, a thing works out. And what has worked out is that all the time the mind had predominated and had superseded the dictates of the heart. But in the process of remembering me, one great thing has happened, and that the heart is now having the upper hand over the mind. And the heart is now full with the remembrance of him. Heart is there, has started to praise me, has started to begin to love me, reflect the love that is all-pervading. I have given you my love, I love you all. So it begins to reflect. And that reflection touches the mind. And then what happens is that the man returns, or the woman returns, whatever it is, the mind returns to its own place of habitation there. And then what happens is this, that it just remains there. Of course, in the meantime, he had left his work, he had left his vocation or whatever it be and all that. Or sometimes he continues to be in the vocation, continues to do the work and all that, and he gathers all the information and goes out in his vacation there to Baba places and all that. One need not leave one's vacation, Baba says, vocation. One need not leave one's jobs or anything of the sort. Continues with that, or one abandons all this and just goes out in search. Depends upon the intensity of how much you want to remember me. But remember one thing, he says, that all these act as reminders to remember me. And I must let you know, Baba tells the man at the time there, that know once for all that this whole creation is there as reminder to remember me. It's not just my picture, it's not just my words, it's not just the human beings, not the places of pilgrimages that you have gone through it. But remember, the whole creation, the purpose of creation is to act as constant reminder to remember me. And so you come back and you fall back upon the constant reminder that is the creation. And there you have gathered so much of the reminders to remember me through the words and through the people that you have met and all that. And you come back and he says, oh, what a restful period now this is. Baba must have returned from his tour. Baba must have come back and must have felt the rest too. So anything, any activity, any motivation that you have through your minds reverts on to me, and that acts as a reminder to remember me. Baba loved this. Oh, this is summer month. These are the things that Baba is telling. I'm recalling these things. Oh, this cool glass of water has appeased my thirst. How it must be with him when he must have gone out on tours in the summer months. I've gathered that he wandered in the summer months too. So it must be so cooling and refreshing to him. How much more so with him when he was going out all the day, you see. But then the mind begins to prompt him because the heart has awakened now. He says, but then the water is there, it's good, it appeases. But suppose if he had not given the thirst, how would we feel about the coolness of the water? It is because the thirst he has given. So wonderful he is that he has given the thirst so that we can relish the coolness of the water. So you go on now trying to mingle your feelings and thoughts with the nature and creation itself. Likewise your appetite, when you eat any morsel, oh, what things he liked. I must tell my wife to do that, I must tell my cook to do this, I cooked this, that he loved this, he liked this. All these things now fall back upon and continue to remind him to remember him. That's how he uses all this as reminders. Baba had this taste, Baba had that taste, Baba this. And then after eating, then you go to the toilet, Baba says, and you ease yourself and you feel so relieved. You have to go to piddle and you feel yourself so relieved after all the things, the bladder was full. He says, what a creation it is. I have eaten, he has given me appetite, he has satisfied my appetite. But suppose if he had not given me the appetite, how would I satisfy the appetite? Apart from satisfying the appetite, he has given me digestion. I digested the food. What a creator he is. Apart from digestion and all that, he has given the mechanism to release it all. And what a comfort I feel now. I feel so fresh. So anything, everything that your life is, revolves around as reminders to remember me. So when a stage reaches when you fall back upon just pure nature and says, oh, you see all this greenery, what a creation it is. Such vastness, such green, such colors, the red colors, not only the red, he is not satisfied with that, but with the red he has given so many shades of red and so many shades of green, and see how all that reminds you of me. And then, to cut the story short, of course, all these reminders have their bearing upon your heart, and a day comes when you are beginning to glorify him in every little thing that you see and you are in. And that a day comes, a moment comes, when your speech falls short, when your thoughts fall short, when your feelings fall short, and you are just stationed as a stationary human being, just dazed, glorifying the Lord. Then, just at that moment, the gift of my love descends. What is that gift, Baba says? Unless I give you the gift of my love, you won't be able to love. But do you mean to say that I call you and summon you and give you the gift or anything of the sort? No, he says. When the remembrance, through the reminders that have been created, when the remembrance reaches its zenith, then my gift descends upon you. And what is that gift? That you see me as I really am. That is the experience you'll have. You won't see this cloak that I am wearing now, which you call this nose and eyes, and this is just my cloak, it's my dress. You haven't seen me as I really am. For that, you have to begin with remembering me. Just as you saw that woman and you fell in love with him, now you'll see me as I really am, and you'll fall in love with me. Once you fall in love with me, there is no way out. Then you begin to love me. Oh, that tremendous love that pours out of your heart then. You want to become one with me. You want to possess me. You want to just be not and be me, and so forth and so on. It goes on and on. And you really begin to love from that moment, because you have seen me as I really am. I am beauty personified then, in my effulgence. So then Baba says, you begin to love me as I really am to be loved. Real love pours out of you. And I am loved as I should be loved. In your material love affairs, you have to see a woman and fall in love. And then remember. And then you go in to possess her and all that. In the spiritual love, you have to begin to remember me first. And then you see me, and then you fall in love with me. But then what happens, there you two get united in the material world. Here what happens, when you fall in love with me, you begin to love, and love me more and more, and still yet more. And then you are not satisfied with your love. You want, the more you love, you feel that your love is short of loving me. The more you tried yourself to love me, the more you pour yourself, lose yourself, the more you feel that, well, you are and you can't love him sufficiently. So you begin to derive the greatest pleasure in loving him. The pleasure is such that you want to love him all the more. And then, just as all of a sudden my gift descended upon you, and you began to love me, so also a moment comes, an accident occurs, that all the time you were the lover and I was your beloved. At at a moment, your beloved then falls in love with you. Your love is so intense that the beloved falls in love with you. And then at that time, it's an accident. All the charm of loving is lost because you as the lover become the beloved. And I as the beloved have fallen in love with you and have become the lover. And that is known as the moment of union or God realization or self-realization or whatever you call it. The lover and beloved are merged and no more. Nothing is there but the beloved. So that's how you have to love me. That's what Baba said that day. You had heard this before? Oh, that's good, then you called him. Yeah. So what you talk about realization, what you talk about becoming God and becoming self-realized or God-realized, all this is there, but you are not made for that. After all, what will happen after you realize your truth? What is going to happen? What will you realize? What you already are. After all, what is the benefit, if you take in terms of benefits, where Kleiner comes into picture, he goes after benefits naturally. So after all, we talk in terms of benefits. What is the benefit of God realization? To know what you already are. Okay? That's all. But the purpose of your being a human being in this purpose of creation is to serve as a reminder to remember me. And your being in the creation, the purpose of your being is to love me. Yeah. Goal is to become one, of course. But all these moments of your human form are so gracious and so blessed that angels envy you. That's what he says. Because they don't have love. And you have been imbued with the faculty of loving. So this is the time when you can love me as I should be loved. Your purpose is to love. Go in after loving me, not after becoming one with me. That is an automatic resultant effect of it. But without loving me, you will never be realized. If you go in for realization sans love, no, it defeats the purpose. It is the overpowering love that overpowers the beloved, who falls in love with his own lover and becomes the lover and raises the pedestal of the lover as the beloved. And that is union, self-realization. So Baba has given us the prayer, has called the Mandali's prayer or whatever. What is it called?
Master's prayer.
No, not mine.
Mandali and Lover's prayer.
Yeah, what is it?
Mandali and Lover's prayer.
Yeah, what is it that?
Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more, and more and more, and still yet more and more.
Till you are no more. That's what I add. Because that's what I have gathered from him. Yeah. Baba is compassionate, he just wants you to continue to love, to have the greatest delight and pleasure. But it eventually culminates in till you are no more.
Is there a point in which the lover loses control of the love, in which the love overpowers him and he's no longer actively has to seek to remember Baba?
No, there comes of course a moment where he has nothing, he loses control over everything, his speech, his thoughts, his feelings, and absolutely nothing, he is nothing. He is virtually nothing. And then the gift descends. Yeah. Gift of love. And that love is to see him as he really is. That gift of love. Okay?
Yes.
In north of India, people, they get into such frenzy in his presence that they begin to dance, men, women. But it's good for them to do that, but when they draw us into it, forcibly, when we have to dance, we are like bears dancing, you see. But then what happens is that it is so embarrassing because there are men and women dancing, but then there is that sect, you see, which is neither man nor woman, and they are also there, so we have to dance with them also, you see.
Eruch, that happened to me last night on my way home from the Sublok Hotel. We had a Christmas party there.
Oh God.
And around midnight, I went over the trust and woke them up to get my bicycle. And bicycling home, I went by this village where there's all fireworks going off and lots of Christmas lights, and they had a big nativity scene. It must have been a Christian village.
Yeah.
So I took my bike inside and I was watching it, and there was this group of men, and they went into a frenzy when I got there and were dancing all around, and I had to dance with them, and I felt exactly like a bear.
What was your cycle then? What happened with your cycle?
No, it was safe, nothing happened. My tape recorder, everything was there. Nobody touched anything.
Nobody touched you.
But I had trouble getting away. After a half hour, I was just exhausted. Like I had to sneak out.
So what happens, this reminds me of a story which I have told, I don't know, all of you all may not have heard. It's good to repeat it because we are remembering him today. So I had told you all about this, the trick he used to play with us about him being loved most by the women on the other side of this compound and no?
No.
You don't know that? Okay. Today you deserve, it's your day. We would like to entertain you.
The compound?
So what happened?
When we were all bears together dancing.
So what happened is that, not in the compound. Compound means what I am saying is, this side is men and that side is women. So we never referred as women and men. When we talk about women, we say on the other side, the people on the other side. You see? That's how. So that's how I use the other side of the compound. So he would come now and again, and under some pretext or excuse or whatever the situation and circumstances would be, he'd say that, how I wish you could love me as the women love me. There, you'd say there. And we hear, of course it's humiliating for men to hear such a thing from the God-man. You know how humiliating it can be. So we can gulp it for the first time, second time, third time. Years pass by, never frequently, but alternate years or 2 years after, 3 years afterwards. So it went on, fourth time, fifth time when I heard it, I couldn't control myself. So I said, well, if you want to taste the love of men, next time when you come, take the form of a woman and we will let you know how we can love you. So that's how it was. It was so exasperating, Every time you'd come and tell us, if you could love as the women love, all these things wouldn't be there, you see. Okay, then I said, well, if you want to have the taste, I said that. So he said, and I'm trying to tell you another story of such people where you were last night. So I said, come as a woman and you taste our love then as men. We can love too. So he said, it's so ordained, I take always a male human form. I can't take a female human form. It is so ordained that whenever I come, it's always in a male human form. He said, you can have perfect masters, he said. Men, women, perfect masters. Babajan is a glaring example of it. But you can even have perfect masters in that sect. What do you call that sect in English?
Unisex.
Transvestite. Yeah, unisex. So it is like that. It was for the first time we heard it. Says, but we haven't heard it. So he says, I'll tell you a story. It's a thing that happened. He tells us how it all came about is because of this, you see. Then I said, well, then you will taste the love from men. So he said, no, I cannot, it's so ordained. There are perfect masters who are men and women, but there are perfect masters also of that sect. So there was one of that.
Are you satisfied that that's the right word, transvestite?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Maybe
We call
transsexual.
eunuch here. We call eunuchs.
Quite different things.
No.
I know. No.
Androgynous.
Half man, half woman.
Yeah. Here we name it as eunuchs.
It's a leopard.
Whatever. Why do you want what's in the name? Call Eruch. You see, it's like Eruch. Yeah. So it's like that. So that's how you have perfect masters in that too. But for God man, it must be in a male human form. That's how he started. Says you have eunuchs also as perfect masters. Says, yes, I'll tell you a story, he said. So he tells us the story. It happened in India, in Lucknow, North India. There if you go there, I don't know now, I haven't been there, but when we used to go there are plenty of these things, these people you see there. There are colonies, means settlements of these people. And they are, you may call it they are the outcasts. They are not accepted in the society of men and women. On the contrary, if the children mingle with them, you see the children are dragged by their parents or mother and brought inside and all that. How do they earn their livelihood? They earn their livelihood on this. Whenever there is a day of festivity and rejoicing, they are the ones who can make the whole atmosphere very lively by their dancing and the music and the strokes and the beat of the drums and this and that, bells they tie on their, and they dance and they create a lively atmosphere. And of course people offer them money, and that's how that's their vocation, to create joy in others. And there are people, you see, who can't mourn at the time of funerals and all, and mourning is a must for them. So what to do? They can't mourn. They don't have tears to weep or anything. So they are invited. They are called for both the occasions as mourners. And they beat their breasts and they cry and they hug each other and they do this and do that and create a great scene of mourning. And they feel happy that the deceased has been properly mourned, you see. Yeah, the bereavement is really felt, you see, on that day. And that's how it is. So that is how they earn their livelihood. And the usual way how they live, and when they go in groups, usually, because they are harassed by the other people. They are teased by the people and so forth. So they usually go in groups. And they go in groups. But if they were to go in groups, it's nice, but what can you do? Their bearing is such, you see, that they can't walk as men walk, neither can they walk as women walk. The gait is quite different. So, and when they go, naturally, they tune themselves, you see, into their gait, you see, and they clap their hands and they walk and they sing and they do this and that and beat the drums and all that sort of thing. So naturally people come out and see, oh, those people are going. We call them hijras here. Yeah. By the way, if you all were to, it is for your information, Baba started his Manonash period in the colony of the hijras. Yeah, it's known as Khujjaguda, the cave in Hyderabad. There's a settlement, it's known. You know why? Because these Mughals, they needed these people as the guards for the harems. That area was ruled by the Mughals. The Muslim rulers were there. So they had harems, and in order to control the harem, they had guards who were these people. They are sturdy, healthy and all that. So it's safe. So that's how they are. So naturally there are settlements like that. So one of the settlements happened to be the place where we found the cave, you see. And Baba accepted that, and that's how we started. Baba started his Manonash phase there. This is for your information because it came to my mind. How important they are. Yeah. This is the story because of it. Baba is telling us that people have discarded them, but they are after all human beings, you see. And once in a while, perfect master is in their community to uplift that community. So this is the story about it. So what happened is that there was, in Lucknow, there are many such streets and colonies, housing societies and all where these people are housed, and there are many, abundance of them. So Lucknow is famous for that. So in Lucknow, Perfect Master was there, of this sect. Naturally, you can't hide the light. When one is illumined, your light is light. You can't hide it, you can't shut it, you can't do anything with it. So people, naturally their community were very proud about it. And they would go, follow him wherever he would go, and he would walk, but same thing, that's the way you see. There, and people are attracted to the person, and they follow him, not knowing where they are going. So there are road jams. And the elders of the town, you see. And then what happened with this crowd, and with this singing, and with this music and all that, children are attracted. So the parents are much disturbed and all that. The elders are disturbed because of the road jams, blocking of the road, traffic and all that sort of thing, wherever they went. And Lucknow is the capital, is a big city. So they thought of it as, what is this? Who is this man that takes the lead there? Why should he be like that? So some of them said that, look, we have heard that he is a man who is considered to be a perfect one. So how can he be a perfect one? This community is not possible, and this and that. So there's dissension in the society. So when the dissension is there, then they want to take a test. Try, let us see. We can denounce him if he is not there, and we'll praise him if he is so. So the only test is now, what should we do? He must be all-knowing then. He must know. So what they did was, this is Baba tells us the story, mind you. So he said, this man, this perfect one, master, of course, his usual way. So these elders held a meeting in the hall, municipal hall, whatever it be, community hall, and they came to the decision that we leave the matter in the hands of the elders, and whatever they decide, we accept their decision. But it is left to them to test. It's a test case. So they came upon this plan that we should test this person. How should we test? There the people are fair, and even the lads look like girls, teenagers. They are fair in complexion and all that. So they selected a boy, 2 boys they selected. Not boys, teenagers. So one was dressed in the bridegroom's dress, and the other was given the bride's dress. And these elders incited their parents, and they also themselves, they followed the perfect master. And when the perfect master settled down, he used to go walk about the streets and all that. So he would settle down somewhere on the curb and all that. So when he settles down, naturally all sit down. So they also very meekly and lovingly, shyly, the bridegroom and the bride approach. And they stand before. It's a sham thing. So naturally the bride has that veil and all that. So they approach and sit. So he says, sit down. So they sit down. The elders with grey beard and all that, they are there also. They are watching now because they are the ones who are examining, testing. So they also settle down. So the bridegroom has been tutored by them. The master says, well, what happened? You got married? As if he doesn't know. So the bridegroom says, very shyly says, yes, we are just married and we have come to take your blessings. Says, blessings? So what do you want the blessings? You are married, you are happy, what blessings you want? So he says, no, we would love to have a bonny son, our firstborn. Really? He says, really? So he says, yes, master, we would love to have it. So then he says, but does she want? So he says, yes, master. So master inquires from her, saying that, do you really want a bonny son? Do you really want it? Yes, master, she says, you see. Are you really serious? You want my blessings? You're blessed. They said, yes, you're blessed. And they very reverentially bow down, mock bowing, and everything, and they come away. Sure enough, he is a pseudo person. He should be driven out of the place. That's how it was. How is it possible for such a thing to happen? He doesn't know. If he were the perfect one, he would have known, you see, that they are fooling him and all that. So, well, they go. And they hold another meeting. Meeting is held. And they came to the decision that he is a false master, has nothing to do, he doesn't know anything about it. So that's how it works. And in the meantime, now Baba gives us little hints here and there, little digression. So while all this is going on, there is talk of the town about him now, because of the community feelings there. So there is a wrestler now. We are digressing from the story. And this is Baba himself said that. So there is a wrestling bout. In North India they wrestle, kusti as we call it. So one party, a wrestler, was the champion, and he had won all other champions, you see. And there was a parade of this, with a garland and all that, and he's walking, they can't put their hands because the muscles are so big. So he's walking like that. Baba annexed the part, you see, that's what I am recalling, So he's walking, and naturally he has a following also of the wrestlers who applauded him and all that, backed him up. So he has also his following. From opposite direction, the perfect master is coming with jingling bells and clapping and moving like they are coming. So this wrestler sees this, you see. He is passing by and wrestler is passing him. So when he passes by, he turns to his group and says, hey, this is the one, He is the one. He is eunuch, Hijra. This Hijra, he says, he has a following. This Hijra, pointing at him. So master doesn't care, he walks by with all his following. So master stops at the other end and turns back. And this man is stationed there, wherever he is with his finger pointing now in air. So he turns back, the master, and says, I believe you are a wrestler, you are a champion of all the wrestlers today. Well, you have pointed at me. Haven't you got the strength in your finger or in your arm to put yourself down? You are a champion wrestler. So it was there, stuck in the air. He couldn't put his arm down, it's just there. So Baba gives us a little glimpse of his divinity, you see. So such things are there, community feelings are there that he should be ousted, and here he has demonstrated little, given an inkling to his divinity and all that. Of course the wrestler went there, begged his pardon.